Well, many of us had such a great Friday weather-wise. It's a shame the weekend is going to be a very wet one for some folks in the Mid-Atlantic, and it's starting that way in the Southeast. Dave will tell us more about that. Hello and welcome to this edition of Weather Center, brought to you by, I believe it's GM Chevrolet truck. We'll check on that.
It is indeed. You nailed it.
Okay.
Lisa Moser along with Dave Schwartz. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Now we're seeing showers and some snow in the northwest, even a tornado in Oregon. Just got a report of that. Let's begin with some severe weather in Florida, the completely opposite end of the United States. Jacksonville with reports of 2-inch hail. Good news is the severe thunderstorm is now offshore, but boy, what a scare that was. Fortunately, a warning was issued by the National Weather Service just before that thunderstorm moved in over town. It intensified. It's very breezy across northern Florida this afternoon. A cold front has moved into South Georgia and really tightened up the air pressure gradient, and that's what gives rise to wind. Winds are gusting, well, out at the airport to 40 miles an hour with this thunderstorm, but just in general, it's pretty gusty out here. Gainesville, even in St. Augustine, you can see that thunderstorm to your north now out over the water. There's an upper-level low that's spinning right over North Carolina, and that's only one of several little weather disturbances that's going to be affecting some of us this weekend. This one, that one, this one, this is the bear. That is the bear in the west. We'll get to that here in just a second. Low pressure, the strongest right now, and a front, which is an elongated area of low pressure, a convergence line, has given rise to some wind. Not much weather further west. A beautiful day on the beaches, Pensacola Beach, westward to Galveston and South Padre Island. It's near the upper level low and generally the trough of low pressure that sits over the eastern half of the country, where the atmosphere is most unstable. Cold air over warm air. That's an unstable situation. And we've got a little jet streak, it looks like, moving across South Georgia that's given rise to this thunderstorm, plus the cold front, plus daytime heating. Temperatures in the upper 70s today. Under the clouds, though, we didn't even get close to the upper 70s. It's been cool and rainy. A few spritzes in Richmond, a few more than that in Petersburg. Southwest of there, we have an upslope flow, wind off of the Atlantic Ocean riding up into the mountains. That can give rise to clouds and rain and drizzle and nasty cool weather too. Here in Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Suffolk, it is light rain becoming heavier rain later on tonight, and that's all we've seen in eastern North Carolina. Thunderstorms, fortunately they're weakening, but some of them near Fayetteville and in Robeson County giving rise to 1-inch diameter hail. So we've had some rough weather, mid-Atlantic states and all the way into the southeast. Just that one lone thunderstorm that's moved off of Jacksonville. Dew point temperature there is 64, a measure of moisture in the air, 34 in Nashville. It is much drier in the Tennessee River Valley. South of the front, it was kind of hazy this morning, foggy, warm, Tampa. And can you see through the fog? Those are the balloons. This is the Florida Balloon Fest. Dozens of balloons are taking part in the weekend competition, and some of them were up today. Temperature hit 80, and there was a breeze, a sea breeze this afternoon. Tomorrow will be another nice day. Current temperature in Tampa at 75 degrees. That's a look at our storm and the fair weather in the southeast. Let's head north with Lisa.
I would say that it is slightly below fair for much of the northeast. It wasn't really that nasty. Certainly it was cool and it was a little cloudy in a few areas. We're going to see an increase in the cloudiness across the northeast overnight tonight. We take a look at the actual high temperatures so far at this hour. We're looking at lots of 50s, low 50s at that. There is an exception where we have a stronger northerly wind coming in around Caribou, and that current temperature only 37 degrees. Looking at the satellite, you can see up around the Caribou and Holton area. We have not seen very much in the way of sunshine today. And we're seeing some very light precipitation. This is falling in the form of some very light rain. Cloudy skies across Boston, the Cape Cod area, but where the cloud cover is going to be increasing, the source of that cloud cover and moisture is actually that low pressure area out by the Carolinas. This is going to be riding and filling in our skies across the northeast over the course of tonight. And tomorrow, we're likely to see some very heavy rain showers from Boston to Philadelphia to New York and D.C. Here too. We've got a chance of seeing some rain, maybe even as early as the overnight hours in the Baltimore, D.C. metro areas. Boston right now 51 degrees. Worcester is currently 58, a little warmer as we go a little further to the south, but here too it was a mild day. Temperatures below average. Currently looking at JFK, the current temperature 50 degrees. Morristown currently 57. Mostly cloudy skies. Go down to D.C. The cloud cover has thickened here. No rain to report just yet. 58 degrees currently in Washington. Leesburg currently it's 61. We'll look for this low pressure area to push a little further to the east and then right along that coastal area. So that's going to be our weather maker for tomorrow. We're looking at a little bit of change into the wind chill occasionally around the Caribou vicinity. Temperatures feel about 10 degrees colder at times. A warm day, no problem with the temperatures out here towards the Corn Belt. 64 degrees in Chicago, 67 in Indianapolis, and even warmer around the St. Louis area. We've been looking at temperatures in the upper 60s here, 64 currently though. Minneapolis at 60. We've had some rain in the area. We're getting a little reflection of our winds aloft, the jet stream with that troughing, the signature to the east, and we're seeing some rainy showers, and some of them have been heavy at times around Moline and Peoria, Illinois. That's pushing into the extreme eastern areas of Illinois. So Chicago, Cook County, eventually Terre Haute, Indiana, we'll be looking at some rain over the course of tonight. And tomorrow we get behind this moisture, behind our stationary frontal boundary with a northerly wind, and that means temperatures are likely to be about 5 degrees colder than what they were this afternoon, tomorrow afternoon. What about tomorrow afternoon for the Seattle area? Let's check in with Dave now.
Well, it might be a little bit better in Seattle. Of course, it wasn't all that bad today, I guess. In and out of the clouds, we've had a few sprinkles. Temperature 47 in Seattle. But if you're looking for warm weather, head for the desert. It's 97 in Glendale, Arizona, out there at Luke Air Force Base, northwest of town. It's going to turn cooler here in Arizona, however. There is another trough of low pressure that's moving in on the west. Notice these clouds heading from the desert all the way up into Canada. Nice ridge of high pressure out here over the plains and high pressure at the surface. A beautiful day in Pierre and Rapid City. But colder air is making it in. Not super cold, just cooler marine air off the Pacific Ocean. That's why the clouds have been hanging around. Mostly cloudy today in Seattle and Portland. Even a report of a tornado touchdown, probably a cold air funnel in St. Helens, Washington. A few trees were blown down. That was just about it. The main impact from this storm now is wind and blowing dust. Watch it out there on the highway. This storm, or trough of low pressure in the west, matches this one in the east. Unfortunately, this one that's going to shoot the storms out to sea is going out to sea. This one is moving into the plains where heat and humidity will be building tomorrow. Here's Lisa with her forecast.
Oh yeah, the lee side of the mountains, and that's around the panhandle of Texas. That's Kansas, and yes, you too, Nebraska. We are already seeing the return flow. You saw some of those clouds blowing up with our disturbance out here in the Rockies. Well, tomorrow we'll see more of that instability come over to the Central Plains, and that's when we're really going to see some problems, because just looking at the morning temperatures alone, you get the idea, hey, it's going to be kind of warm out here. Oklahoma, Texas, 50s and 60s. These are the morning low temperatures. In the afternoon, our low pressure area strengthens, becomes more organized on the leeward side of the Rockies, and boy, does it have a lot of warm, moist air to work with. Lots of 80s for the afternoon high temperatures across Texas, lots of 70s across Kansas and Oklahoma. So things will be going boom, and they could be going boom in a big way. Maybe some severe weather. We'll be talking more about that.
We sure will. Coming up next, a look at travel trouble spots in the morning on TravelWise.
This program was sponsored by Chevrolet Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road.
Chevy Blazer. A little security in an insecure world. Blazer, like a rock.
Go where you wanna go.
Many driving problems have been answered by Goodyear innovation. AquaTread wet traction, high performance Eagles, all-terrain Wranglers, and AquaSteel run flat. That's serious technology. Freedom from worry. What's on the horizon? More new solutions for your peace of mind.
Serious freedom.
Serious technology, freedom from worry.
Right now, it's your local forecast on the Weather Channel. Currently in your area, 54.
Planes. And the ozone season begins Monday. We'll have a special report. Good evening and welcome to Weather Center. I'm Carl Parker.
And I'm Sharon Resultan. Those stories are straight ahead, but let's begin the hour with the rainy night in the mid-Atlantic states. And that's exactly what's setting up here as we're watching the rotation around this area of low pressure and the moisture rotating around it. And that's going to feed some of that moisture into the mid-Atlantic as we head into the overnight hours, especially as you get closer to the coast. We're finding clearing conditions a bit further southward here around Atlanta, for instance, and where the front is still working its way through northern Florida, still a few scattered showers and thunderstorms. But even this is moving off the coast, so that is certainly some good news. So the rain wrapping around the area of low pressure, we continue to find occasional thunderstorms, especially in the warmer sector of this storm where we've had a little bit more of the daytime heating. So that will be the area to watch still for the next hour or two, and then we'll just see mainly a rain event. You can see most of the thunderstorms are offshore, but still into eastern North Carolina. A few lightning strikes here, so we'll continue to watch things very closely. And again, the red on the map indicating severe weather is still a potential threat here, so you could find some sizable hail with some of the colder air aloft and maybe some gusty winds as well. Taking a look at the radar, Raleigh seeing a few scattered showers. We're finding some rain through Fayetteville and north of the Wilmington area. You had a thunderstorm, but it has dissipated. Again, as we head into eastern North Carolina, this is where we saw the lightning strikes and the lightning data, and that's an indication of where you're getting some clouded ground lightning right now. Nothing that looks too terribly ferocious, but again, you could find some gusty winds with some of those thunderstorms. We head northward and we'll find the rain up around Norfolk, stretching up toward Virginia, not quite making it to Salisbury, but again, as this low makes a move and pushes offshore and then moves fairly close to the shore, we'll see some of the moisture fed back inland, and depends on how close that low will trek along the coast, but some of you could even find some rain up around Washington, D.C. as we take you into the late night hours. The thunderstorms that we had here frequenting northern Florida now moving off the coast. So looking better for you around Jacksonville as these thunderstorms continue to push off the coast, and rain amounts for the most part will be light. A couple areas where you could pick up maybe a ½ inch or so. Here's a quick peek at temperatures. A cool day where you had the clouds and the rain in through the Carolinas. 62 around Columbia, 63 in Atlanta. Show you some scenes here. Again, sun and clouds for the day, no doubt about that. Things dried up, that's the good news. But it was kind of cool and breezy, and temperatures stayed in the 60s, below average for this time of the year. Hang in there. Tomorrow is looking much brighter, literally more sunshine, and therefore some warmer temperatures. Again, lots of warmth here along the Gulf Coast region. As we head northward, though, it cools off, and we'll find a few lingering clouds. Here's Carl with details.
Yeah, it's been cloudy and rainy in the Northeast for the last couple of days. Now, a lot of that rain has moved out, but still there were plenty of clouds today, and it sure was a cool day. And rain is on the way back. Unfortunately, we've had this rain that Sharon just told you about. That's going to be sneaking up the coast here through the day tomorrow. So most of the action will be right along the coast. We're talking about the Delmarva, much of New Jersey, Long Island, southeastern Massachusetts, and it may make it into some of the bigger cities here, but for the most part, it will be again right along the coast. Temperatures, we're at 51 now in Boston, so again, another very cool day, 58 in D.C. and 65 in Pittsburgh. In the Midwest, we have a front dropping on down. With that, some pretty cool air in the upper Midwest, and then we have this weakness here, disturbance, and with that, some showers. Light showers for the most part. There might be just a little bit of thunder, but for the most part, it's going to be light to moderate rain. And now just west of Chicago, moving along towards the east here, for the most part in the western suburbs, not too many problems near downtown, but there might be a few spritzels as we go on through the night, so you might want to bring the umbrella if you're going to be headed out and about. Then farther south and east, just east of St. Louis here, we've got some heavier rain, maybe a little bit of embedded thunder right along I-57 or just west, and that is pressing along towards the south and towards the east. So here's a look at your forecast for tomorrow. We're going to see that cooler air continue to build on down. Still a few showers along the tail end of that boundary. Should be a beautiful day in the Midwest, but it will be cooler, especially as compared to today in some areas. 70 now in Des Moines, 64 in Chicago, 68 in Kansas City, but there's the cool air. 36 is your current temperature in Marquette. We take you westward now, and we have some stormy weather to talk about. With more on that, here's Sharon.
Well, there are a few thunderstorms developing as we head into parts of New Mexico and western Texas. Notice the rest of the west, not out of the woods either. We've got some cloudiness and a few areas of showers and some light showers here with a very moist, unstable air mass into the Pacific Northwest. Let's start you out here first where we've got a disturbance, an upper-level disturbance heading into New Mexico, and that's prompting some of the active weather. And again, we could find some severe weather here. We have had a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings and now more activity developing into western Texas, not far from Interstate 10. Much of what we've had here in New Mexico winding down, but one lone cell east of Taos as you head up the interstate there, so do be careful of that. Could find some hail and some very gusty winds associated with it. And then further development south and west of Pecos and much of this region looking at the potential for thunderstorms as we head through the overnight. And then as conditions become a little bit more favorable in the upper levels heading into your Saturday, we're going to be talking about the potential for strong thunderstorms lining up very close to the dry line into western Texas, and that will be the region to watch for Saturday, even on into your Sunday. Elsewhere in the west, the front has passed on through. You're still finding some wet conditions in the Pacific Northwest, onshore flow here, snow flying, even at pass levels. So if you are heading out this evening, do be aware of that and just know that it's going to be very tricky for your travels at the pass levels into parts of the Washington and Oregon Cascades. Otherwise, a lot of this moisture going to be dying out for the overnight, and a drier day can be expected heading into your Saturday. A cool one right now in Seattle, 47 degrees, 54 into Portland. It's cooled down also into Southern California. Eventually those winds on Sunday turning more offshore, and that'll warm you up late in the weekend. But in the meantime, just expect some very brisk conditions, and there are some gale warnings in effect, coastal Southern California. Carl?
Well, one of the biggest cities in Texas is changing the way it informs people about air pollution. The Weather Channel's Scott Lorimer shows us the new system.
You're seeing that plume of ozone.
This computerized map shows ozone pollution spreading across Dallas last August the 5th. A bad day for pollution. That same technology will be available every day this summer online. People can learn in real time during the day when the air is unhealthy. Monday is the beginning of ozone pollution season in Dallas. That's when air pollution watches and warnings will begin. The warnings are similar to weather warnings, where colors represent degrees of pollution. Now, green is good, yellow is moderate, orange is unhealthy for sensitive groups, red is unhealthy, purple very unhealthy, and black is hazardous.
This now makes that connection to demonstrate that how people's behavior should change to protect themselves.
When ozone pollution is predicted, people will still be encouraged to carpool and telecommute. For the Weather Channel, I'm Scott Lorimer.
Well, in addition to dangerous ozone levels, summer is also a time for mosquitoes. Summer hasn't arrived yet, but the mosquitoes in parts of Austin, Texas are already biting. People have been complaining about the pesky critters, so the exterminators are out. You can find mosquitoes in standing water. It's the perfect breeding ground for them. But the pesky pests don't even need this much water. Mosquitoes can lay hundreds of eggs in as little as a teaspoon of water. So if you've got flower pots, discarded tires, an unused swimming pool, a bird bath, things that have standing water in them, turn them over so they can dry out. Well, the Weather Channel and Weather.com challenge you to test your tornado IQ. You answer questions online and you can win a Columbia parka, just like the ones worn by the Weather Channel live crews. Tonight's question is, if threatened by a tornado while in a house, you should A, go to the southwest corner of the basement, B, go to the lowest, most interior portion, and if possible, shield yourself from falling or flying debris, or C, do B, but first open as many windows as possible. Go to the Weather Channel's website, weather.com, to take the quiz. And now we want to take a look at your forecast for tomorrow. And wet weather is a pretty good bet along the mid-Atlantic coast. It's going to be moving up the coast through the day tomorrow. So Salisbury, Maryland, as well as towards Cape May, New Jersey, Providence, and parts of Long Island. Looks like it will be a fairly wet day for you, and eventually that's going to make its way into parts of New England. We also have a front dropping on down. With that, a few showers, parts of the northeast and down towards the southern Appalachians. With high pressure nosing on down in the middle of the nation, though, it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful day. Around Chicago, for example, a lot of sunshine, gorgeous weather. Then farther westward, scattered showers here, the high plains, the Intermountain West, And right here, where we have a pretty strong storm moving in, a lot of lift in the atmosphere and very warm and very humid air streaming on up here, we could see very big thunderstorms, very strong thunderstorms in West Texas, western parts of Oklahoma, western Kansas, and the Front Range of the Rockies, including eastern Colorado. It's an area we'll have to watch very carefully, and you want to stay tuned to the Weather Channel for the very latest on that. There is a look at your precipitation forecast. Things pretty dry in the west. Overnight lows, 30s and 40s through much of the northeast, midwest, and the middle of the country. Obviously warmer in the south central plains. Then tomorrow, pretty mild in most areas. Still a little chilly in the northeast and the Intermountain West, 60s, 70s, and 80s. Widespread, though, through tomorrow. So here's how it looks, and again, we could see wet weather from D.C. to Boston. Obviously, it will be wetter right along the coast. Showery as we get a little farther inland here. Also some showery weather in the southern Appalachians, maybe around Atlanta. Good-looking day in New Orleans, 84 degrees for your high, and strong storms, a good bet, again in West Texas and around the high plains. Midwest, 65 degrees in Minneapolis. Beautiful day. 61 in Chicago, 72 in Omaha, and finally we take you westward. And we will see wet weather in parts of the Rockies tomorrow, maybe some snow in the highest elevations, but we will be drying out right along the west coast, about 60 in Portland and 65 in San Francisco.
Yeah, watch out areas like Denver, though, where you could find some strong storms developing later on. And we've got your travel forecast coming up for the overnight.
Stay tuned.
Years before America's electric cooperatives forged the nationwide alliance, Touchstone Energy, neighbors built their own electric utility to power lives and communities. Now Touchstone Energy cooperatives serve millions of homes and businesses. Customers large and small get state-of-the-art technology and affordable service. From the one-room schoolhouse to the communities and businesses of tomorrow, trust Touchstone Energy, the power of human connections. We are America's electric cooperatives.
It is time now to get you travel-wise. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the rain across the southeast. We continue to find rainy conditions into parts of North Carolina, stretching into southern Virginia. And in fact, as the area of low pressure that's causing this rain moves up along the coast here, we're going to find the rain overspreading much of the mid-Atlantic and eventually portions of southern New England. So there will be some areas to watch out for with some slick travel. Same can be said here across the upper Midwest into portions of Illinois. Scattered showers developing now in through the high plains and working down into New Mexico. Western Texas looking at a few thunderstorms, some of which could become severe. And a diminishing rain event here in the northwest. It's still a very cool, moist air mass, very unstable, very unsettled, but this is going to be winding down, and a better day on tap for Seattle and Portland. Once again, a look at your airport arrival delays. No major problems being reported right now. In a nutshell, you can kind of glance at the map and see where you could run into a few problem spots. A couple areas of red on the map where you might still find a strong or maybe even a severe thunderstorm. This is our trouble spot. You can see interstates that could be affected. Interstate 40, for instance, and a portion of I-10. And there's a look at your foggy travel, coastal southern California and areas in the east. You've had plentiful moisture here, so it stands to reason that as some of that moisture pulls on out and winds lighten up, you're likely to find some dense fog in some areas, so do keep that in mind. The bulk of the wind energy is out to the west, and it will be very brisk heading into portions of southern California. As we look again at your travel weather, not quite making it into New York City, we don't think, until maybe later in the morning into the afternoon. New York, Long Island, could see some of that rain moving on in. Most of what we've got here into North Florida is winding down, and again winding down into South Carolina and western North Carolina as well. Some of the showers could stretch on into the Chicago region before all is said and done, so before you head out this evening you want to grab your umbrella. And watch out too for some of the snow and the Cascades of Washington and Oregon, because it is...
This program has been sponsored by Allegra Fexofenadine Hydrochloride. Ask your doctor if Allegra is right for you.
Well, the weekend should be very nice if you live in the west or the Midwest, but there will be a threat of severe weather in the plains. And the ozone season begins on Monday. We'll have a special report. Good evening and welcome to Weather Center. I'm Carl Piper.
And I'm Sharon Resultan. Those stories are straight ahead, but we'll start things out this hour with a rainy night in the mid-Atlantic states. And that's exactly where the rain is headed, working from areas like North Carolina and southern Virginia on up toward the mid-Atlantic. And again, the low is shore. So we'll continue to watch for maybe a couple of frisky thunderstorms here, but again, the bulk of the action is just going to be some run-of-the-mill showers and thunderstorms, especially across eastern sections of North Carolina. Still getting some rain just in and around Cape Hatteras and extending northward up toward the Norfolk area. Otherwise, fairly widely scattered as we move westward out toward Greensboro, Charlotte. On the dry side, but can't outrule a couple more stray showers in your region. Richmond seeing some of that rain, and eventually some of this is going to press on northward as the low itself begins to move up in that direction. So we can't outrule a shower, or at the very least a sprinkle around D.C. and Baltimore, but it's going to be later on tonight and on into the morning when you see that possibility. And again, in and around the Jacksonville area, the bulk of the thunderstorms have moved off to the east. Still a couple of showers here and maybe a few more flickers of lightning, but again, things winding down here as we lose the daytime heating and some of the instability in the atmosphere. So not a whole lot of rain is expected. That's the good news. Temperatures kept down due to the clouds and rain around Raleigh and Durham and also into Columbia. Current reading of 60 degrees. Cool too in Atlanta, 62 right now. A chilly day. Not too cool though. Folks were out and about in the warm weather attire as they went about their usual exercise routines. And again, you saw some sun and clouds. A bit breezy today, and again, temperatures in the 60s, which is well below the average. If you're waiting for some warmer weather, your wait won't be long. We've got some of that coming your way for the rest of the weekend and some drier conditions in Atlanta as well. Not so dry as we head on northward. With more details on what's happening in the Northeast, here's Carl.
Yeah, all of this rain that Sharon has been showing you is going to be working up the coast through the day tomorrow. Now, most of the action will be right along the coast. Still, though, you've been through it for a long time now. You've had the clouds and the rain and the cool weather from Boston down to D.C., and it looks like it's going to be kind of lousy again tomorrow. Had plenty of clouds around today. It looks like they're finally beginning to clear around some of the big cities here, but it's not going to last again as all of this works on up tomorrow. Now, it will be wettest right along the immediate coastline. We're talking about the Delmarva and New Jersey, Long Island, Cape Cod. A little farther inland, it might not be too bad. It will at least be showery, we think, towards D.C. and Philly and New York and Boston. And we also have this front dropping on in with that a few showers in northern parts of New York State and New England. 50 now in Boston. Boy, when will this cold weather finally move out? It looks like we will see some warmer weather by the second half of the weekend. 57 right now in D.C., 66 in Charleston, and about 63 in Pittsburgh. Now in the Midwest, we have cooler air dropping down into the lakes. There's a weakness here, an upper disturbance. And along with that, we're seeing a cold rain in parts of the UP of Michigan, and then rain a little farther southward all the way to St. Louis. Closer look for you now. It is just west of Chicago and has been for some time, not quite making it into the city itself, but it may eventually. And for that reason, you might want to bring an umbrella along if you're going to be out and about tonight. Again, it's in the extreme western suburbs at this point around Aurora and right along 88, but eventually we could see some rain in the city itself. Then east of St. Louis, we've got this area of showers, some heavier rain here. It's not a huge area, probably not a lot in the way of thunder, just a brief shower here around Mount Vernon and right along 57. Tomorrow, those showers will stretch a little farther eastward into the Ohio Valley. High pressure very much in control here in the Midwest. 62 now in Chicago, but only 36 in Marquette, near the core of that cold air. It's quite a bit warmer down south, 68 in Kansas City and 64 in St. Louis. I want to take you westward now. We have a little bit of stormy weather to talk about, and with more on that, here's Sharon.
Yeah, several things happening out here in the west. A couple of thunderstorms sprouting into Montana and around the Lewistown area. A severe thunderstorm warning in effect. We've got some moist and unstable air in the northwest, prompting some showers, all of which are fairly light and will be dissipating. And then, of course, we've got our upper level feature here that is helping along a few thunderstorms into New Mexico, down into Texas. And we're finding some stronger thunderstorms in these locations, specifically now into southwestern Texas, into Reeves and Brewster Westchester counties, you do have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect at this time. So do watch out for some sizable hail, and no doubt you're going to find some gusty winds and very, very heavy downpours with those thunderstorms. Not much happening here. It's managing to wind down a bit. Every once in a while we'll find a cell flare up and then kind of die out. But we have had up to 1-inch hail with some of the thunderstorms here, and it has been infecting some of the interstates, so keep that in mind if you've got some travels into New Mexico. And again, the thunderstorms here south and west of Pecos and extending all the way down almost toward the Mexican border, occasionally reaching severe levels, so do watch out for that, and just know that you're going to find some very heavy downpours with those thunderstorms. Elsewhere in the west, onshore flow, again a very moist, unstable sort of pattern here to the northwest. Some snow flying even at pass levels. All this will be winding down as we head into the overnight, and a drier forecast for you into Seattle and Portland extending into your Saturday. Here's a look at the cooler weather in the northwest. Contrast that to the warmth across the desert southwest. A little cooler into Southern California. Things warming back up here by Sunday, but in the meantime some brisk conditions and some gale warnings have been established through Saturday morning. Carl?
Well, in addition to dangerous ozone levels, summer is also a time for mosquitoes. Summer hasn't arrived yet, but the mosquitoes in parts of Austin, Texas are already biting. People have been complaining about the pesky critters, so the exterminators are out. You can find mosquitoes in standing water. It's the perfect breeding ground for them, but the pesky pests don't even need this much water. Mosquitoes can lay hundreds of eggs in as little as a teaspoon of water. So if you've got flower pots, discarded tires, an unused swimming pool, a bird bath, things that have standing water in them, turn them over so they can dry out. Well, the Weather Channel and Weather.com challenge you to test your tornado IQ. You answer questions online, and you can win a Columbia parka, just like the ones worn by the Weather Channel live crews. Tonight's question is, if threatened by a tornado while in a house, you should A, go to the southwest corner of the basement, B, go to the lowest, most interior portion, and if possible, shield yourself from falling or flying debris, or C, do B, but first open as many windows as possible. Go to the Weather Channel's website, weather.com, to take the quiz. And now we take a look at your forecast for tomorrow, and it's going to be wet up and down the East Coast. Initially, around the Mid-Atlantic region, we're talking about the Delmarva, Salisbury, Maryland, and Ocean City, and towards Cape May, New Jersey, and then a little farther northward towards Long Island and Hartford and Cape Cod as we go through the day tomorrow. Unfortunately, fairly wet, and some of that wetness may extend into the big cities through the day tomorrow. This front's going to drop on down with that just a few showers around the lakes, and then cooler air behind that, high pressure nosing on down into the northern part of the plains here. And then in the middle of the nation, as our stronger storm that Sharon mentioned pulls out into the plains and works with deeper Gulf moisture, we could see some very strong storms West Texas, western Oklahoma, western parts of Kansas. It could be very rough indeed, and you want to stay tuned to the Weather Channel for the very latest on that. There's a look at your precipitation forecast, maybe as much as an inch of rain in parts of southeast Virginia and North Carolina. Overnight lows in the 30s and 40s in the Midwest. Pretty mild here in the south central plains. High temperatures tomorrow, mild across most of the country, the exceptions being the lakes and the northeast, extreme northeast, and parts of the Intermountain West. So we'll take you region by region, and again, wet weather right along the coast here from Boston down to D.C., scattered showers around the lakes. We could see strong storms in the middle of the nation tomorrow. Keep that in mind. About 84 with sunshine in New Orleans. Good looking day in the upper Midwest. 61 in Chicago, 57 in Green Bay. And finally out west, we'll see wet weather in the southern plains and Rockies. And it looks great along the west coast, about 65 for your high in San Francisco.
And we have a brand new severe thunderstorm watch that has been issued for portions of western Texas. We'll have more on that coming up.
On TravelWise, stay tuned.
Seat 9A, window.
How are you?
Morning flight. Full-size car. Hotel? Not this trip. Over 700 airlines, 45,000 hotel properties, 50 rental car companies. TRAVELOCITY.com. Go virtually anywhere.
We've all read about Generation X and Gen Y. This is Generation D, the generation that was born digital. The computer is no more exotic than the refrigerator. They did voice over IP in their dorm rooms. Now they're here at WorldCom. All the new technology, they totally get it. They're just wondering what's taking the rest of the world so long. WorldCom, Generation D.
It is time now to get you travel-wise. We have some wet weather in parts of Virginia and North Carolina, and also the Midwest through Wisconsin and Illinois. Scattered showers and thunder showers here in the South Central Plains and the Southwest, and this is going to be a real problem tomorrow. We'll take a closer look at that in just a moment. So we start you off here in the Mid-Atlantic region. Notice the spin. There's an upper level low right here that's going to be traveling up the coast, and along with that we're going to see a lot of wet weather right along the immediate coastline. But for tonight we're talking about northeastern North Carolina, some embedded thunder here, scattered showers in Virginia, and also a few showers in parts of the Appalachians. In the Midwest, this is light to moderate rain for the most part. There might be a little bit of thunder in extreme southern parts of Illinois, and you will see a few showers in Chicago later on tonight, so keep that in mind if you're going to be out and about. And we take you into Texas, and in the western part of the state, around Big Bend and also parts of New Mexico, we have a few strong storms here. There's not a whole lot going on tonight, but as the larger storm pulls out and into the deep moisture through the day tomorrow, it could be rough indeed. Texas, western Oklahoma, and also western parts of Kansas and eastern Colorado. So there's your travel weather all together here. We're not looking for much in the way of flash flooding, but we do have a thunderstorm forecast for you. Severe weather is still a possibility in this area right here, eastern North Carolina, and again New Mexico and West Texas, but there's not a whole lot going on right now, so things should stay pretty quiet for the most part. Foggy travel here right along the East Coast, extending from Pennsylvania down towards North Carolina, and windy travel, a very good bet with this system here. Stronger winds parts of Montana and also down towards Southern California. Those Santa Anas are going to be blowing by tomorrow morning. So we'll take you region by region, and again this wet weather is going to move up the coast tomorrow. That's going to mean not necessarily a great day in Boston and maybe down towards Philly and D.C. Most of the very wet weather will be right along the coast, but we still could see some showers a little farther westward. Southeast, looking pretty good for now, but later tonight and tomorrow, stronger storms developing in West Texas and Oklahoma. You do want to watch out for that. Midwest should be a beautiful day tomorrow. We're looking for a lot of sunshine in many areas, 61 in Chicago, 65 in Minneapolis, and finally...
This program has been sponsored by Allegra Fexofenadine Hydrochloride. Ask your doctor if Allegra is right for you.
You're having a pretty nice spring day from coast to coast, except for a few trouble spots in the east, the west, and in the middle.
You were flying high in parts of the southeast today. The sun was shining, and you had warm weather.
And watch out, ozone pollution season is approaching for many of us. Hello and welcome to Weather Center. I'm Lisa Moser.
And I'm Warren Madden. Glad you could stop in with us tonight. Coming up, we've got your weekend forecast for you. We'll show you if you can expect the sun or perhaps some showers. First, though, tonight's wet weather.
Well, the weekend is underway and it's shaping up to be a beautiful one. West Coast, most of the Midwest, and most of the Northeast and Southeast, too. That's it. Good night.
We wish it was that easy.
Right. Good evening. Welcome to Weather Center, sponsored by MCI WorldCom. I'm Dave Schwartz.
And I'm Warren Madden. Now, of course, there are a few flies in the ointment.
That's right.
It's never as easy as that when it comes to the weather. And Dave will detail your forecast coming up in just a minute. First, let's check in on what's happening right now, and we'll sort of lead you into what's going on at the present time, and then show you how all of what's happening right now will play into your forecast. We started off in the southeast, and notice this low-pressure system here. This
conditions. Well, a wet summer in Australia has Australian farmers bracing for a locust plague. Large numbers of the insects have already begun to spread in the western parts of the country. The unusually wet summer provided locusts with ideal breeding conditions. The next week is expected to be critical because winds could carry the destructive insects into new areas. That does not look good. One of the biggest cities in Texas is changing the way it informs people about air pollution. The Weather Channel's Scott Larimore shows the new system.
You're seeing the home.
Now, your local forecast, accurate and dependable from the Weather Channel.
The Clean Machine from Coleman PowerMate does such a great job cleaning cars and decks and grills, you may find yourself testing its power on all sorts of things. The Clean Machine from Coleman PowerMate.
The Weather Channel brings you the Earthquake Activity Report. We'll advise of earthquake activity near the West Coast during the past 24 hours, only on the Weather Channel.
When Discovery thundered into space, a special Ames tool went on the mission. Not surprising, really. Ames lawn and garden tools have been on the cutting edge of tool design ever since we opened our doors back in 1774. And astronaut or gardener, you'll be pleased to know we guarantee your satisfaction with any Ames product. For over 200 years, the Ames brand name has meant industry-leading innovation made right here in America. With a reputation like that, the sky's the limit.
Visit your local retailer for Ames Lawn and Garden Tools. Quality tools for every season.
Time now for the spring.
All right, what can I get you? Let me get a double espresso latte, half decaf, medium foam, and just name Dutch chocolate, okay? Thanks.
I'll have an Austrian goat milk cappuccino with a touch of Madagascar cinnamon.
Ordering the right cup of coffee has become quite complicated, unless...
I'll have one. He's having it.
All you want is the richest coffee in the world. Just look for Juan Valdez. 100% Colombian coffee. Anything else just doesn't sound as good.
Look for the symbol of one.
Now, your local forecast, accurate and dependable from the Weather Channel.
Play, will you follow these ski tips from North Star at Tahoe? On ski days, stuff a fanny pack with some essentials to help keep young skiers happy all day. As for skis and boots, it's best to rent them at the resort. Pack clothes they can layer for warmth. Think waterproof, don't forget sunglasses or goggles, and label everything. Pick a ski resort that caters to your child's ability. For young children, ask for state-licensed childcare. Look for small classes with lots of activities to make learning fun. Rewarding achievements helps young skiers to stick with the program. Ski vacations can be fun for children and parents, thanks to skiing tips from North Star at Tahoe.
And a good morning. Thanks for tuning in to the Weather Channel on this first full day of fall. Will Ann along with Vivian Brown, and we're going to be talking about some active weather. Not only is it raining throughout the middle part of the country today and fall-like for the Northeast, we could be talking about something really weird in the Southwest.
That's right. Heavy rains expected over the next couple of days as we have Hurricane Nora looming off the coast of Baja California. We'll talk more about the forecast in just a moment. Right now, though, let's do Houston. We've had our share of the rain as well. Most of the action has been right here in the nation's midsection. The West Coast looking good, and another beautiful day is shaping up for most of the major cities out west. And over the mid-Atlantic, much of the Tennessee Valley and the southeast, we had dry weather. But as we go through the next couple of days, all of it is right now, and it doesn't move too much from where we saw the heaviest precipitation. Been reportedly closed, and many roads impassable across the area up to the Will Rogers Turnpike around Tulsa. Moderately heavy rain. Wichita, Kansas, the same. Even around Springfield, Missouri, and Columbus, Missouri, we have moderate rain here. Des Moines, the southern parts here of Iowa, eastern Iowa into Dubuque. And then you can see how the moisture just stretches across northern Illinois, Indiana, and northwestern Ohio. Toledo, South Bend, Chicago, we have the wet weather this morning. Be careful as you're coming in from the John F. Kennedy. Even the Dan Ryan, of course, on the south side of the city, will be a little rough go for you, so allow extra time. This morning, a little rough in Chicago. You can see the heavier rain, too, or some lighter showers moving across the western parts of New York State. Now we are watching this surface front, and it'll swing through. It's going to push south, kind of a backdoor cold front, and that's going to enhance our chance of rain showers later today. Boston, New York, and Philadelphia. But the bulk of the heavy rain will be right here with our slow-moving system in the nation's midsection, where an additional inch or two can fall. So we will definitely keep you posted, and perhaps even more rain than that in some areas. We're talking about 3 to 4 inches in some localized area. It's the west. That's the best today with all the fair skies. You can see temperatures right now in the 50s. Some 40s here and 30s in eastern Canada. Will slightly cool it down over the northeast as the cold front moves through, but in advance of it we will find rain showers. Talking about Hurricane Nora now, it's moving to the northwest at 8 miles an hour. It is expected to perhaps start to move north and then northeast, and a lot of its tropical moisture will be moving into the southwest. And on that note, we'll check on the forecast. Here's Will.
Okay, Vivian, we'll check on the forecast right now and tell you about some more wet weather today. We've seen a ton of rainfall during the last 24 hours over southeastern Texas from Palacios up in just a moment.
The side dish steals the show when it's creamy Velveeta shells and cheese.
Dakota, North and South Dakota here, as the bulk of the heavier rain will be to your south. Again, out west, we're looking good today. Interstate 5, the Pacific Coast Highway, no problems. Our strongest storms we perhaps will find over Texas and Louisiana, and popcorn thunderstorms over Florida throughout the afternoon. No severe weather expected though, but we could get some locally heavy downpours. We'll check on the forecast for the rest of the week coming up next. So don't go away, because we'll talk more about Hurricane Nora.
Introducing the misting showerhead from Waterpik. With its variety of luxurious spa-inspired settings, including a delicate, pampering mist, you tend to take a rejuvenated feeling away with you. The new misting showerhead from Waterpik.
Oh, bathroom. Oh, bathroom, bathroom, bathroom. Oh, yes.
Traveling's an adventure. Where you stay shouldn't be. Fairfield Inn by Marriott.
It can develop in an instant, and
in case of fire, this is a good place to stand, unless you're a computer. One company that hosts web servers knows that, and Janice knows them. Before buying their stock, Janice went after every drop of information, right down to their fire extinguishers. Their system doesn't use water. It puts out fires without drowning computers. A minor detail? Not if it's your money. Get there. Janice Mutual Funds.
To find a phone number, you probably use this, one of these, my favorite. Well, now, I don't need any of it because I've got the 00. Try AT&T 00 info instead of 411. Hit the 0 key twice, and AT&T customers get any local, long distance, or yellow page listings in the U.S. Get with the year 00, man. Oh, it's magic.
And good morning, I'm Kristen Dodd alongside Marshall Cease, and it's a bit wet in Texas as well as Oklahoma. It's amazing.
It sure is. We have flood warnings that have been issued for portions of northwestern Oklahoma, some road closures there, even some evacuations in progress. In some cases they've had 4 to 5 inches of rain, and
it continues to come down.
Yeah, it really does. And then we've got Nora in a couple of days that looks like, probably 3 or 4 days out, that it may be coming into Arizona as a tropical low.
Very interesting weather scenario that's going to be playing out over the next several days.
It really is. You want to stay in touch with the Weather Channel over the next several days to watch these events unfold. Right now, I'll show you some of the precipitation that has fallen.
Top of the morning, everyone. Half past the hour. It is Wednesday. It is the 24th of September, 1997. Thank you for joining us. Vivian Brown, I'm making a rare Wednesday appearance here with us. Just like the doctors and dentists take Wednesdays off, so does Vivian. But she's here filling in today. We're glad to have her.
Thank you.
You're welcome aboard. I tell you, congratulations to the Tribe. There they are. That's right. They clinched it yesterday, so they're going to the playoffs next week, probably against the Yankees, I guess, playing. And speaking of the Yankees, I was looking back in history. On this date in 1934, Babe Ruth played his last game for the Yankees. He said his farewell to the Yankees.
Really? On this date?
On this date, in 1934, that was it. He was out of here. So, also on this date, some famous and infamous TV shows debuted. Going back into 1961, The Bullwinkle Show. Rocky and Bullwinkle. Cartoon. You remember that?
Don't remember that.
Oh, that's a classic. Got to educate this girl. Rocky and Bullwinkle was out of here. Daniel Boone with Fess Parker. 1964, that came aboard. Also in 1964, The Munsters. You still find the Munsters on TV with Herman and Lily and the gang, and The Love Boat.
Oh, now that
1977, that's right. It's a good thing the Love Boat's not traveling down, you know, used to go to Puerto Vallarta and the west coast of Mexico. It's a little rough there this morning.
Absolutely. We have Hurricane Nora. It's still looming off the coast of Baja California. It will spread its moisture into the southwest, too, the next couple of days. Bruce will have a complete look at the forecast, which shows us all the individual radar sites here and pretty much a running tally of how much precipitation we've had. And I don't know if you can see the legend down here at the bottom, but the darker green indicating anywhere from 2 to 3 inches of rain, and in the areas where you see spritzes of yellow and orange, that indicates anywhere from 3 to some 5 inches of rain. So it's been locally heavy here across parts of Texas and Louisiana, up toward Memphis, Tennessee, and in Nashville, Little Rock, right near the state border, northern Mississippi, and the western border here of Tennessee. It's just been a mess as we've watched a very, very slow-moving surface area of low pressure push off toward the east, and it'll be moving slowly again today. So many areas, again, that we Tennessee and the eastern parts of Kentucky, the bluegrass state, just south of Charleston, West Virginia, but around Bluefield and Beckley we have the wet weather. Again, Asheville, North Carolina, it is really, really wet this morning. Please allow extra time. If you have travel plans, the interstates in central Tennessee, you know it's rough here this morning as the entire volunteer state under the gun with wet weather. So if you're traveling, beware. Not the best of mornings here. And throughout the day, this is our targeted area for thunderstorm activity, as most of the warm and moist air will find south of this warm front. High pressure still in effect along the immediate coast here of Mexico. Even though the center of our hurricane is right about here, we still have those large waves battering up against the coast of Mexico, and that's why coastal flooding could still be a problem as we go through the next 12 hours. Let's show you the satellite picture, which identifies very clearly, of course, our hurricane. Yesterday, we did notice that some deep convection associated with it was wrapping all around the center, and that indicated a very oily. So disregard this last frame, which kind of cuts off some of the picture here, but you can still see the center of the storm right here. And we've been watching this trough of low pressure just off the coast of California, and we think it'll be perhaps these this long wave pattern, or the upper air steering currents, to kind of pull the system north and then eventually east, as all of its moisture, again, works into the southern parts of Arizona. Now, we have a crew that is on the way to southern Arizona this morning, and we'll be giving you live reports from the